Hello friends and family, it is a beautiful day here in Atlanta, Georgia. There's your weather update. I'm on my way to go meet Megs for lunch. Hope you guys are having a good day. Reading a book a friend of mine wanted me to read, so I've been doing that this morning. I'll tell you what a good thing is. A good thing is to have your most fundamental beliefs challenged. Last night was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he and I see things very differently when it comes to the church and what the church is, what it should and shouldn't do, the practices of the church, what are ordained by God and what's not, and things like that. So we talked for a long time last night, and he challenged me to read a book by a couple that converted to his theological persuasion. That's a way of saying it, I guess. So anyway, I've been reading that book this morning, and it's really interesting. So I'll have to put a book in his hand after I read this book. So that's my goal. There is a bliss that does come with having childlike faith, which is what God tells us to have. But Peter later goes on and says that we should be able to give a reason for the hope we have and give it with gentleness and respect. So I have tried in my life to be equipped, that's the word I guess, to be equipped to have gentle, respectful, reasonable conversations with people who don't believe or think the way I do. And those two words, gentle and respectful, are really important. So here's what I'm saying. Don't be afraid to have your beliefs challenged, because that should motivate you to really determine what you believe, because it should motivate you to study and ask yourself hard questions. If you go into a courtroom, you're going to hear two sides of a case argued very well by men and women who are educated to do that. They're going to make arguments. You're going to hear an initial argument, and you're going to hear a counter argument. And that's what conversations are. People make claims and arguments, and then people make counterclaims and arguments. And they try to show the other person how their claim or their argument is not valid. And that can be done in a gentle and respectful way. So for me, being a Bible-believing Christian, believing that Jesus is the Son of God, that He lived as a first century Jewish carpenter, He lived a life perfectly because He was fully God and fully man, and He paid the penalty for all mankind's sin on the Roman cross, fulfilling the feast of Passover, and then having a bodily resurrection from the dead 3 days later, and then ascending to the right hand of the Father to make intercession for us, giving us the Holy Spirit to transform us into His image and to empower us to continue His work in the earth as the church, the bride of Christ, empowered by the Holy Spirit to do that. And He's coming again to judge the living and the dead. Boom. That's where I land. I mean, I'm a youth pastor, but that doesn't necessarily mean you land in those places. And people all the time have a lot of questions and thoughts and doubts and struggles and things like that. That's fine, but be willing to ask the questions and have the conversations. Don't just sit around. Don't sit on your hands and say, I've got all these doubts, questions, and concerns, and not do anything about it, not study, not have conversations with people, not seek out the answers. Seek the answers. And Jesus said that. If you knock, the door will be open. If you seek, you will find. If you ask, you will get your answer. So, there's my thoughts. That's what's going on in my mind today, because you should be friends with people that don't believe and think the way you do. Point blank. Jesus makes it so clear we're to love our enemy, we're to forgive our enemy, and we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. So in those two categories, even people who may consider you their enemy, or you may see someone's views as an enemy of your views, you're supposed to love them and be gentle and respectful to them and give a reason for the hope you have. So, all right. that's enough about that. Whew. Just getting home. Just pulled up. Home sweet home, and it smells so good. Hey, darling. Sweet, pretty Megs. Look at you, just doing all your womanly things.
You wanted to say duties, didn't you?
I almost said duties. Tell you something, it's an awesome thing. Not because she's doing this, but to come home and find your wife worshiping. I guess she's having to pray through doing laundry.
No. That's what you do.
And it smells so good. I wish I could smell how good it is.
Show them the green beans.
Yeah. It's enough for, but we always waste green beans. That's the thing.
I know, but I love green beans, but you can have
Got tomatoes, yellow rice, green beans, and tilapia.
I mean, it's done.
All right, gonna chill out and eat some dinner.